if your unit already has a Facebook page, we would like for you to go to that link on that QR code and just take a moment after we're done tonight and fill out that information so that we're putting together a database of units that have Facebook pages so that we have them readily available. And that's going to help us with different things behind the scenes at the Mayflower Council, especially as we get closer to Joint Scouting Day in the fall, and maybe putting you in touch with certain things if people call looking for volunteer opportunities. It's nice to be able to refer them to your Facebook page so they can check you out a little bit. So take a moment, if you don't mind, if you have a Facebook page for your unit, and just scan that code, go to the page, and just fill that out. It'll take you about 2 minutes, but we'll do that at the end. But let's dive in and get started. As you all know, social media is the wave of the future. It actually is taking over in the world when it comes to outdoing websites. People are going to social media more. And we talk a little bit about Facebook tonight. Facebook is the #1 social media platform in the world right now. And looking at it from a demographic standpoint, this is Statistica. And this particular chart is really important because if you were to look at the people who make the decision about scouting for their children, okay, you have people that are parents, and that usually happens in their mid-20s. So if you look at the market share on social media for people 25 to 34 and 35 to 44, you can see that there's a pretty big share here. And even if you go a little bit younger, you can see that it's a pretty good market share when compared to all other social medias. We focus on Facebook tonight for a couple of reasons. The first one that I really like is the reach. And when we talk about the reach a little bit, 69% of all Americans use Facebook. And in fact, 77% of people aged 30 to 49 have a Facebook account. And believe it or not, 65% of people under 35 have a Facebook account as well. And Facebook is linked to a couple of other things. You've probably heard of Instagram. Facebook owns Instagram. And there are actually ways, and we're going to get into this in the second part of the series, to take your Facebook post and actually mirror it on Instagram. So you're building up two different social media presence. The average use by an adult of Facebook is about 33 minutes a day. And that's average, thank goodness. I know people that do it a lot more. And you get better mileage with the posts. And this is one of my big sells when it comes to why I think Facebook is the platform that you get a lot of mileage out of. There's a couple of things. First of all, you can do text and photos and video. It doesn't have to be one or the other. When you go to Instagram, your post is predominantly a picture with a little bit of a caption underneath. If you tweet, you only get 140 characters. And that's really difficult to be able to tell a story. With Facebook, you have a better chance of telling the story in your post, as well as they actually have what are called reels, which are similar to TikTok. And they also do have what are called stories that go up temporarily. It's kind of like your little highlight. Like, check this out right now and come to our page for more information. So stories can be really effective when doing that. The other thing that I really like about Facebook, and I think it benefits your unit, is you can share your posts into groups and community pages, and even as a message to certain entities. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how that's going to benefit you in the long run. I've actually been able to take posts that I put on Facebook and actually sent them to news media to use as a story idea. And I actually do have a database of people in the media that I do that with if it's something that I'm trying to get the word out on. So Facebook, you've got great market share of the people who really have the final decision about the scouting experience for the scouts that come into our program. And that is their parents. The kids are very influential. If you've got kids, you know, your kids will influence what you do. But at the end of the day, the parents are the ones that are really going to look at what the results are beyond the character development and the other things that we offer as a scouting program. And to be able to show that to them, Facebook's a good tool for that. There is some recommended reading that I'd like to encourage when it comes to any kind of social media, and scouting. The first big one is the Boy Scouts of America's social media guidelines. And I've put a couple of slides together for the highlights. It is a very long document. The link is on the page, and you're welcome to go check it out. And I highly encourage you, whether you have a page already or whether you're starting a page, to please read those guidelines, because there is a lot of information in there, and that could be just an entire seminar itself. But here are some of the highlights. The Boy Scouts of America highly encourages you to read and adhere to the terms of service and existing guidelines outlined by each individual social media platform or channel. Social media pages or channels should be monitored by your unit leadership. In fact, to move forward on this, I highly recommend that you make sure that your Scout Master, Cub Master, or advisor is aware that you're doing this. One of the big things we talk about is engagement. And we're going to talk a little bit about engagement and some success stories on that in a minute. But social media isn't just about putting up, like, it's not like a bulletin board, okay? So you want to engage with your audience, and you want to let them engage with you. That's always a good thing, because it shows that you are in touch with your community. So don't be afraid to engage with your audience and let them engage with you. And we talk more about this in our second part of our series that we're going to do next month. Big thing here. If the information you are sharing should not be seen by the public, then don't share it. It's like that phrase your mom said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. One of the big phrases I had when I worked in radio is, if I'm not going to say it in front of my mom, I'm not going to say it on the radio. And it's the same thing here. If it's not meant to be seen by the public, then don't share it. The other thing that they discuss is too deep leadership and how it applies to social media. No private messages and no one-to-one contact in messages between leaders and the youth that may be subscribed to your page or connected with you on Facebook. Some of the other things they talk about: keeping children safe and privacy are the most important things when it comes to any social media platform. So we're going to talk a little bit about posting and being comfortable with what you're putting out there. There are specific guidelines in this particular document that are geared towards Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. A scout is courteous. Be scout-like when replying to responses and posting. Build trust by being open and transparent. We're in that business where trust is such an important thing. So being open and transparent with your public-facing Facebook page is crucial. And the other thing you want to include in the About Us section is a digital community contract on your Facebook page. And what this basically says, and I'll show you this one here. This is actually on the Boy Scouts of America Facebook page under About Us, and you can find the wording exactly there. You can also find it in the document that I referenced just a moment ago. But this basically are the rules of the game. Okay, it basically says that the views expressed by users and fans are the sole responsibility of the users and don't reflect the views of the Boy Scouts of America. It is a little bit of a release about responsibility for the content. The posting of a link does not, it also is a release on endorsement. So if somebody goes on and, you put up that you had Crazy Axes at your membership event, you tag them, it's saying that you had Crazy Axes there, and you're giving them a little bit of a kudos and a little bit of exposure, but it's not a professional endorsement. The Boy Scouts of America does not govern and is not responsible for privacy practices of other sites, and you should familiarize yourself with the privacy statements of any website. The second part here is really important, and that basically says that you're going to monitor the page and that you reserve the right to remove things that could be potentially liable or injurious to the privacy of an individual or a group. And it also gives you permission to ban people that are violating your page's terms of service. And there's also some other stuff in there. I encourage you to give that a read and make sure that you have that on your Facebook page. And again, this is on the BSA Facebook page. You can find it under the About Us section, but you can also find a link on this page here, the scoutingwire.social media guidelines page. They have a link in there as well. So now that we've talked a lot about some of the things that are in there, there is one more thing I want to share with you, and that is the second recommended reading. And this is more of a playbook. let's be honest, social media is used as a marketing tool. And I've always been a believer since I've come to work for the council that your Facebook page is a great way to show off and to show off the scouting experience that your scouts are getting. So, with that, having a playbook and a little bit of an action plan and some tips and tricks is great. This particular playbook is available in the BSA Brand Center, and you can find it there. And I'll give you some highlights of some of the stuff that's in there. It discusses several different social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and blogging. So, the Mayflower Council, we have a blog on our page that we use to get information out to all of our units and out to the public. At the same time, you can use a blog as part of your Facebook page and use your posts to be able to tell the stories and the adventures that you and your scouts are having. There are plenty of useful statistics that can help you choose the best social media platform and tips. It provides you links for shareable content that you can use on your social media channels. One of the big things that's really important before I go any further is to have a Facebook page and to build a following is one thing, but your content is going to keep people coming back to your page and keeping them familiar and have that brand recognition. That's really what we're trying to do with social media and with Facebook in particular by having units do a public Facebook page that the public can see and that you can share posts with the community. We want you to become brand ambassadors for scouting and your particular scouting experience that you have with your troop, pack, or unit. So by doing all of that, you want to have content. And you probably have some content and some stories you can tell about your individual unit, but you might need more, which is why these shareable links that are in the playbook are great resources for you. You can also use links like Brian on Scouting and some of the other stuff there, some of the stuff that we put out from the Mayflower Council. There's always opportunities for content. And believe it or not, this can become a little overwhelming. So sitting down and figuring out, okay, we're going to post once or twice a week, and this is what we're going to post. And oh yeah, we found a post about when we're going to camp, and here's some information about Camp Squano and that kind of thing. All of that is available to you at your fingertips. If you need help, that's what we're all here for, and we're glad to help you with some of that and at least help guide you. The last thing about the playbook is I just talked about planning your social media. There are actually social media management tools. One of the ones that's really popular is called Hootsuite. And what you can do is you can actually go in and you can sit down and spend about an hour or two and actually plan out your posts for the month and actually schedule them, design them, and look at the statistics surrounding how they were seen and how they were viewed, and have that information at your fingertips to help guide you. It's not rocket science, though, folks. So please don't feel like this is overwhelming. I'm giving you a lot more information so that you can make some good decisions on what you're going to post. I would recommend putting a story or two a month out there about what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of adventures, and you're going to see in a minute, I was very privileged to be able to have troops Pack 1620 in Plymouth. They agreed to let us show off their page a little bit. So I'm going to show you some of their posts in a few minutes. But there is a lot of national information and a lot of information from the council that you can share on your page that can be shared with the community. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do to provide content. Okay, moving right along. Having a community, there we go. Having a community-facing Facebook page, otherwise known as having a Facebook page that is public, allows the community to be able to know about you. It also allows them to be able to engage with you, and it allows you as the unit to be able to share your good news with the community. And again, the first bullet point, I think, is one of the most important ones. You're already brand ambassadors by having a pack or a troop or a crew, but now you have more brand ambassador power, I guess you could call it, with a social media page, because you can put your posts up and share them in the communities that you live in to get the word out. And if you think about it, if there are 2 or 3 packs, for example, in your town, and you're posting more than maybe the other ones and sharing some posts in the community pages, when it comes to Joint Scouting Day, they're going to know more about you. It gives you a little bit of a competitive edge. Not that we don't want to give competitive edge to everybody else, but this isn't something that you could just set and forget. It does require a little bit of work. And again, it does allow you to show off to your community. It also can provide support for your Be a Scout pin and online applications, as you're probably aware, or if you're not aware, come August 1st, there are no more paper applications at the Mayflower Council. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to be able to put things up on your Facebook wall and say, you want to apply to become part of PAC 44? Click here and have that link go right to your online application. It's one quicker way to get people to join. And it is more effective than Facebook. If you think about it, people spend 33 minutes a day on social media or Facebook. You can get lost in hours in your email. And if you are using email to try and inform, that's probably a good platform to inform the people that are enrolled in your unit, your pack or your troop. This is a way to talk to the community. And when you look at, I'm going to flip back and forth for a second here. This is Compact 1620's Facebook page. I took a screenshot of it. But as you can see, they got a header here. And they have a profile picture. And we're going to talk about why those are important in a minute. And there's some information in here that the public can see right out of the gate. The first one is, it is Compact 1620 in South Plymouth. It is, they have a review. They have a 5-star review, believe it or not. And it is a nonprofit organization. You could call it a youth organization, a nonprofit organization. You do have to identify somehow as what kind of entity you are. So making your Facebook page an organizational page as opposed to a group works a lot better, because you're basically putting it out there as if you were, believe it or not, a business or a business type entity, but you can identify it however you want. So let me flip ahead here for a minute and share some other stuff here. Before you create your Facebook page, though, there's a couple of things you need to know about the page roles. And page roles are really important. Some of them you probably will never use, okay? You probably won't use advertiser. Whoops. Let's go back here for a second here. There we go. You probably won't use advertiser. Advertiser is if you were to invite a sponsor to come onto your page to be able to post. And analyst, you can use analyst. You can get wrapped up analyzation of your Facebook post and those tools. That's another whole seminar that we could do about days on. But you want an administrator. You actually want 2 administrators. You want your unit leadership to be the administrators of your page. And maybe you have an editor. Maybe you have a volunteer that is good with writing, and you want them to help out with getting your posts up there. Admins can do everything. Editors can post and edit posts, and they can also remove people. So if you're in that situation where you've got somebody that's being disruptive on your Facebook page and violating your digital community contract, you actually can remove them as an admin, an editor, and a moderator. Your moderator just kind of keeps the conversation calm, you know? So I would focus on making sure you at least have your 2 administrators. That way there you can delegate the duties. And if you've got somebody that's willing to volunteer to be an editor to help keep and maintain the content on your page, delegate somebody and make sure you know who they are and give them that role as an editor. And before you start, you do want to have some photos for the page when you launch it. So we're going to jump back here for a second. This top part here is called a cover photo. And it looks like Compact 1620 designed this themselves. And then this little circle right here is your profile picture. And that's just the Scout Me In logo. Where can you get that stuff? Well, I would say, well, before we get into how to create your Facebook page, if you need that stuff, go to the BSA Brand Center. And you can do it that way. So to create your page, you go onto Facebook, and in the left-hand side, there is a tab that's called Pages. And when you click it, you're going to be able to see every page. You'll have access to the pages you like. You'll be able to see how many people invited you. You know how people are. They invite you, oh, check out this page. And it's probably, if they sell Tupperware, well, check out my page. This is my Tupperware page. I'm going to show you all the cool Tupperware stuff. That's what all these invites are for. As you can see, I have 712. I don't like pages that often, but you could also see what some of the suggestions are. And since I came to work here at the council, I have some pretty cool suggestions there. But if you want to make a page, you click this button right here that says create new page. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring you to here. Okay. This is where you're going to do all your work. You're going to put your page name in. That's obviously required. The category is required. Some people put nonprofit organization. Other people put youth organization. I would recommend youth organization, truthfully, because people know who the Boy Scouts are. It's a little bit more of an identity thing. And then you've got your description. Now, your description is PAC 42 is out of Abington, Massachusetts, and they meet every Wednesday night at the community church on Bedford Street from 7 o'clock. And that's what you want to put in your description. You want to put information that tells people who you are. After you hit create page, it's going to allow you to do things like add contact info, like an email address or a website if you have a website for your Facebook, for your unit. It's also going to allow you to put your images up and other details to create the page. This whole process will take you about 30 minutes if you have your photos and you're ready to go. So after you get your Facebook page, you want to build your audience. And here are some strategies to be able to build your audience. Your main audience right out of the gate should be the parents of your kids that are in your unit. So an email blast to from leadership, send an email blitz to your other leaders, your community committee chair, your charter organization rep, and let them know you're going to need 10 of them to secure the page. So once you get 10 followers, you can have more people join your page. Use your personal connection with your membership to encourage them to like your page, promote it at your meetings, and promote and share it as your first post, and then share it within your community. So if you're maybe from Abington, hypothetically, and I use Abington as an example because I know those pages pretty well. If you're in Abington and you're building your page and then you decide that you've launched it, you can share that first post in the Everything Abington page. Or if you're from Braintree, Braintree's got like 4 or 6 different community pages. Some of them are linked and cross over into Weymouth, but they're really cool because, again, these are people that are just looking for community information and they go to these groups to get it. And by contributing in and sharing your posts in there, you're getting our word and your word out there. So those are some cool strategies on building your audience. So what can you post? As you can see, 1620 on this page here, this was their membership post from March 11th and some information about what they have coming up. But you put up your upcoming events. You can put up your good news. You can acknowledge success. Some of the other things you can add to this also are showing off, and we've emphasized this a little bit already, showing off the scouting experience and share your council, district, and national post articles and videos. This is all information that if you share it with the public on your public Facebook page, it's going to help with the brand recognition, And also maybe do a segment where people meet, maybe if you have a changeover to a new cup master or a new committee chair. It's an opportunity for you to be able to introduce them to the community. And you can see here, 1620, they actually did a Egg My Yard fundraiser, which is pretty unique. And that sounds like that would be a lot of fun. So they put a lot of work into their page and keeping their content out there. They post, if you go and look at their page is a really cool example because they post a lot of stuff. They post like twice a week, which is pretty cool. So next thing we're going to talk about here is safe scouting and posting tips. And this is really important because we do deal in the business of developing and working with young children. So we're developing their character and we're working with them. And youth protection is a major priority of the Boy Scouts of America. So the first point I think is really important. Make sure that any information shared on your page by you or your fans is information that is appropriate to share with the public. And this is especially true regarding the level of detail that you provide regarding Scouts and their activities. You may do Pinewood Derby, and you have pictures of your winners up there. And you might, here are our top 3 winners. One of the things that we always recommend, and it's the 4th bullet point here, is don't use their full name. Just put, hi, Billy and Adam and Paul won the Pinewood Derby at our troop this year. And they're standing there with their cars. And we're going to talk about pictures in a minute, and that's important. If you're looking to take some pictures of your Scouts in action, take it from behind so we don't get to see their faces. That's always a cool trick to show off the scouting experience. And if they're doing something that's fun, maybe they're, they've got a bow and arrow in hand and they're shooting and you're taking this picture from behind, it's a little more private that way. Nobody can really tell from the back of somebody's head who they are unless there's like a tattoo or a birthmark or something like that. Create informational posts that help show off the scouting experience. That's why we're doing this, everybody. I talked briefly a little bit about referencing a scout in a post. I would say use their first name or their first name and their last initial only. Do not put any other information in there about where they're from or who their parents are. In my previous career, I worked with some people, I worked with youth, and one of the things that parents would do is they would tag the parents of the kids in the post. I think as the person providing the content, use the name, and then if somebody decides to post in the comments to share it, they can do that. And then if the person who is tagged in that comment wants out, they can very easily remove themselves. Another great idea and another tip is use a photo without the Scouts in them. So maybe you're at the Pinewood Derby and you're taking a picture of all the cars that are sitting on a table, or you're taking a picture of the track as the cars come down and you're basically cropping out the kids, right? It's a great opportunity to take the Scouts out of it and show off the fun of what they're working with. Maybe you're at camp and you're doing something relevant to one of the merit badges and you're showing off a basket or you're showing off wood carving or something like that without putting a Scout in the actual photo. Using some of that also is a great way to tell our story. Okay. So posting, obviously we want to get the word out on how into the community. And I want to share a brief success story about the results you realistically can get. And this comes from my experience prior to when I came here. I worked in the wedding industry for a little bit. And this is actually a post we put up to engage our audience. And what it was is it's a wedding tip. And the wedding tip, if you get married, you can have this wedding tip. And that is have your table numbers have pictures of you based on the age you were that matches up with the numbers. So for example, table 1, they had baby pictures of the bride and groom when they were 1 year old. Table 2 when they were 2, table 3, so on and so forth. We put this post up as a tip on like a Wednesday. And if you look here, we reached, and this was 2016, by the way, we reached 84,400 people and we didn't boost this post. This was all organic, okay? We had, let me go back here for a second here. There we go. We had 106,000 engagements. The important thing here that I want to show off, though, is we had 14,000 comments and 65,000 shares. Okay. At that time, to share the personal part of this story, I was getting people who were PMing us going, I love this idea. Will you come to California and do my wedding? So it's a great way to get people talking amongst themselves. And one of the things that you're going to find is if people like a post, they're going to share it with their friends. They're going to tag their friends in the post and go, check this out. This might be a great idea. And it's okay if there are other scout units in your area that maybe are on your Facebook page. It shows a little bit of unity among our scouts, right? So having those this is what can happen though if you put up the right post and it just hits the right way, and it's presented the right way. The problem is there's no rhyme or reason. Boosting your post is paid ads, and we're going to talk about paid ads next month. Here's the big thing, and it's in big bold red. It's in red, and this is really important, friends. Any photos that you take and use for social media must have a signed talent release form indicating that permission has been given to use the child or adult image. If it's a child, the legal guardian or parent has to sign it, or the adult has to sign it. So to give you how that breaks down, who can sign it? If they're under 18, it's a legal document, so it has to be their parent or legal guardian. If they're over 18, it can be signed by the individual being photographed. Now, for a lot of the council events, up until now, there was a talent release form included in the medical packet that you had to submit on the day, for example, when you went to Klondike Derby at Squanto. I am pretty sure that language is still going to be in the new stuff. I know the council is going to keep on top of that stuff. But let's say you want to have talent release forms signed by all the kids in your pack when they join. That way there, when you go to the fire station, you can take a picture of Billy in the jail cell and have a little bit of a laugh with it and have some content. You could do that because the talent release forms we have from the council are a blanket. So it's not defined for one particular event. If you need that, at the end of this particular presentation, my email address will be there. You're welcome to email me and I'll gladly make sure that we put some in your hands. But there's another way to get images, friends, and that is at the BSA Brand Center. And there are plenty of pictures available here, and they've actually categorized them based on certain things that you would do. For example, for the fall recruitment, they've got stuff for scouts, they've got stuff for Cub Scouts, for your Pinewood Derby, they've got images for there when Scouting for Food comes up. You can go on there and they have it all organized for you. So you can go in, and for family packs and for girl troops, there is actually information about that. I'm sorry, not information about that, but they actually do have dedicated areas where they do have, for example, girl troops. And all of these images are provided by the council. And when you download them, that's basically your opportunity and permission to be able to use them. Well, I'd like to thank you all for attending this evening's webinar that is designed to teach you how to build a public-facing Facebook page for your pack or troop. I'm available to assist you with any questions or concerns you might have. My contact information is on the screen, and thanks again for attending.